Okay, y'all, this is part 2 of the Reckoning Kick a Man While He Down 30 Cent documentary, my version. So today we are going to focus on the part in the documentary about this guy, Little Rod. You see, Little Rod had a problem. He wanted to make it big in the music industry. And upon making it big, he had to go through a writer's camp that Diddy pulled together to start writing and producing the Love album. Now, according to Little Rod, he had to work his way through all of the other talent that was in the writer's camp. But eventually, Diddy spotted his talent and catapulted him to the top of the bunch. Now, I'm an old schooler in the industry. I know a lot of producers. I was in a couple of groups. And everybody who is in the music industry, I don't care who you are, if you are a maid or you change the garbage, you know who the gatekeepers are. It only takes one industry party to go to know how everybody gets down. You find out their sexuality, if they do rugs, and a lot of things that you may not have been interested to know. So, according to Little Rod's part in the documentary and his lawsuit, he says that he was in some undesirable situations when it came to Diddy. You fly pretty close to the sun and you got burned. Because again, if you're in the music industry, everybody knows and everybody talks about how the different gatekeepers play people, whether they are known to not pay people for their services, if they're cool to work with. And being in the industry, everybody knew Diddy's reputation. But in my opinion, according to the documentary, I feel like Little Rod felt that his talent was going to supersede anybody taking advantage of him. But it seems, unfortunately, he had to find out the hard way. Little Rod speaks about in the documentary some unfortunate situations where he was taking shots 1 minute in the studio and then the next minute waking up next to women he did not know, and on a couple of occasions waking up next to Diddy. And upon waking up, certain parts of his body being sore. Now, according to Little Rod in the documentary, it seems that he tells the story like he was in too deep at this point in time and he wasn't willing to walk away. Though he says that he felt like he might have been allegedly rugged and maybe assaulted. So a lot of people that read through Little Rod's lawsuit and saw his interview in the documentary have a lot of sympathy for Little Rod. In my opinion, I don't look at it as sympathy. I look at it as choices that you made as an adult. If it meant that much to you to make it in the industry and perhaps think that your talents would supersede you past going through some type of initiation to get to the next level, I guess you were mistaken. Little Rod talked about being a witness to an incident in the studio, but you still stayed. You didn't report it to the police. And mainly the reason why you dropped your lawsuit is all because you didn't get paid. So my question to Little Rod, if you had gotten paid, would you still have dropped the lawsuit? Would you still be telling your story? Now, a couple of parts in his interview and some of the footage that they show, they clearly show, as you all just saw, Little Rod taking drinks and enjoying himself in the studio. And then he points out that Diddy had cameras all throughout his house and things like that. Last time I checked, isn't that called security? I don't see why that's such a shock or something so bizarre to look at and speak about, because whatever was on the footage, it was legal because that was not in the trial. None of your lawsuit or anything that you put out there in your civil suit about Diddy was in the trial. Lil Rod also stated in like an interview with academics that when he dropped his lawsuit, that's why they did the raid on Diddy's house. And I didn't quite understand the significance of him even telling that part of the story and telling the part about the camera footage because, I mean, it's his home. Of course, you would have video or cameras everywhere throughout your house to survey your house if you feel that you're not safe or for whatever reason. I don't believe it was an illegal act. So what was the point of you even talking about that? Then on this part, Little Rod talks about he tried to confide into KK, but you're trying to jeopardize other people's jobs. Obviously, if KK is working for Diddy, she's cool with whatever Diddy is doing. And for you to try to get her on your side because you kind of got too close to the sun and you getting burned, that was on you. You're a grown man, just like she's a grown woman, and she's working for Diddy, and you just came to the party and you're trying to kind of manipulate her into taking your side over the man that's paying her substantially, because I believe throughout the trial, they talked about KK's highest pay amount that Diddy was paying her per year was like $600,000. And you thought she was going to jeopardize that for you just because you woke up in the bed next to Diddy and some women? That was your time to exit or accept what you were getting yourself into. And you also said in the documentary that he stated to you, like, if you want a Grammy, there's some things that you're going to have to do. I could get you a Grammy. I believe that's what your words were. But he was alluding to the things that you would have to do because you've already opened yourself up to him, showing that, hey, I'm cool. I'm right next to you. I'm hanging out with you. And that's going to come at a cost. Is it right? Probably not. I sure as hell wouldn't have done it. It's not worth it to me. Like I always say, McDonald's is always hiring. And before I give up my soul to gamble on the fact that I might get a Grammy or I might be working with these people and they live this debaucherous life, hey, you put yourself in that position. And for you to come out and take no responsibility for how you got in that situation, this looks really weak to me. And the other thing is, whatever the lifestyle that Diddy had or whatever he was doing, clearly he was acquitted in a court of law. And that's where everything stands. So whatever you claim to have exposed about Diddy, it didn't even make it into the court where he was charged. The only way they were able to charge Diddy was through Cassie and through that video footage of him assaulting her. And then even with that, he was not charged with a DV case. He was charged with a RICO case that they tried to put together on behalf of the stories that were told in the Mann Act, which was a watered down, weak case. And again, Lil Rod, if anything that you stated and confessed in this interview was criminal, it would have made it to the trial. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.